to this computer. Okay, we're live. Okay. Thanks, Julie. Hi, my long lost nonprofit friend.
I know, we've gone full circle.
I know, very full circle. Okay, so we have Julie here. She is an expert on all things streaming an event and hosting events online. And so many people have asked me so many questions that I don't necessarily have the answers to. So wanted to talk to you about all the goodies you know. And we'll just have an organic conversation, but I was hoping that maybe you could tell people a little bit about yourself and your company before we kick things off.
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks so much for picking my brain today. I'm really excited and I hope it helps a lot of people. But I am one of the co-founders of Revent Consulting. So we like to say that we are the event planners for the streaming world. So just like a traditional event where you need a caterer, audiovisual, tables, all that stuff, we take care of all that, but for the online portion.
Okay.
So we don't own a streaming platform. We partner with a lot of the major players in the industry, such as Zoom, which everybody knows, YouTube, Facebook, down to the enterprise solutions such as Intrado, Cultura, and IBM, as well as Brightcove. So that's pretty much a summary of what we do. You can find us at revent.consulting online, or we are on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, all of those media spaces.
Perfect.
So.
And I'll make sure to link your guys' website and stuff after we finish the recording. Okay, so I guess just to like jump into it, most people that have been reaching out with questions are new to online events or the streaming world, and they have a history of hosting things in person. And so I guess I'm curious to find out from you, what are the first couple of steps someone needs to take, maybe that's like logistically, as far as even getting in touch with one of these companies you just referenced or whatever, to formulate some plans in their head around the possibility of them taking their in-person event and transferring that online? What are the first couple of things someone might consider?
Totally. So I would definitely, first of all, get in touch with us. For the foreseeable future, we are waiving our brain power to help people with that exact step, because it's a scary one. You don't know the questions to ask. You don't know what to look for. So definitely get in touch with us and use our brains to point you in the right direction. If you need help further than that, we're happy to help. If you want to do it on your own, we're happy to just be there as a resource if you want somebody to double check. But the first question is to ask is, what was the main purpose of your event? Was it a fundraiser? Was it networking? Was it educational? And then from there, you can sort of look at what's available to you in the streaming world that's better going to suit that message. Do you need it to be closed, or does it need to be open to the public? Was your audience, your Facebook audience, for example, then Facebook Live might be a very natural place for you to go. Is your audience one that's not really one that can afford a computer, but it's mostly going to be watching on their phone? So something like YouTube might be a better option for yourself, and there's very inexpensive options. So really, I think it's looking to who was your audience going to be and what was the main purpose of your event, and then you can go from there.
Okay. So knowing that like most of the people that are in touch with me are in the fundraising space, I'm going to go ahead and say that their event was a fundraiser or some sort of revenue generating situation. So under that lens, what would you say is some starting things they might need? Like, what is maybe some of the equipment they might need? What is some of the actual physical tools they might need? Do they need, should they literally think of their in-person event and just copy and paste that onto a streaming event? Or are there things that need to be tweaked because it's not in person anymore?
You definitely need to tweak things a little bit, but I think as far as equipment and need, you really just need a really good internet line. Hardwired is always preferred. It's just a little bit more stable. Granted, today we're both on Wi-Fi and it's working fine.
Yeah.
and get yourself a really good HD camera, webcam. So most webcams on your computer are going to be SD. So switching to that HD quality, and I mean, you can get one for under $50. We're not talking about a giant investment here.
Okay.
And then as far as translating your event from what was supposed to happen in person to online, people are looking for things to do right now. They're looking to engage. They're bored. They want to do something. And last night, me as a family, we watched a live Twitch of Willie Nelson, and he invited a bunch of small, unknown artists to perform in front of a webcam in their home, and they just did this live. And at the bottom, they had a simple bar like, "Hey, Venmo us a tip for the band at this Venmo account."
Okay.
And it created entertainment for my entire household for 3 hours. We saw some great music, and it was wonderful. And at the other night, we picked up our phone and we Venmoed a little bit of money to their association and their cause. So I
I love
think, yeah, providing a little bit of entertainment. I think everybody needs to unplug. Everybody's stressed,
that. Hmm.
and giving people a way to just let them know how they can help out for this. Like, think back to the old-fashioned telethon almost. It's
Mm.
like, call this number. Now instead of call this number, is like, here's our Venmo account.
Mm.
Donate, help us with
That's
our cause. And we're letting you unplug. Providing education too is great. Giving things for kids to do can be done really inexpensively. Like, I know, we're
We'll take
watching
anything.
anything. Give us anything. We'll do it. And give people a way to give back, where it's like, this is our website, you can give back here. This is our Venmo account, you can give back here. This PayPal, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it could easily be put into your webcam feed with the right equipment,
Okay.
and the right team supporting you. So none of this is hyper complicated. It's more knowing what you need to put in place.
Yeah. I have so many questions. I'm just going to try and give them in like some sort of logical order. I guess I want to come back to this question of like examples you've seen work before this all crazy stuff happened, because I think giving people some visuals might be helpful. But first, I want to ask, you mentioned a lot of platforms. You mentioned YouTube, Facebook Live. Um, I guess, is there a preference, one or the other? What are the benefits of some over the other? You mentioned YouTube for mobile. So I guess how does someone kind of whittle down which is the best platform for them to stream on?
Perfect. So yeah, every platform has their plus, every platform has their less than plus, will be positive. No, Facebook and YouTube have the advantage that they're free. They're
Okay.
easy to use, they're free. All this thing. I would say the big benefit of Facebook is you can stream to an audience that's already liked you. They're
Mm,
already interested in you. It's there. The drawback is that you do need an account to stream to Facebook. Uh, and your attendees need to Facebook in order to view. So you might be limiting your audience size because of that factor.
right.
Uh, YouTube has the opposite benefits. Like, you don't need an account to get on YouTube.
Yeah.
Anybody can get there. The drawback is your stream might be harder to find. It is open to the general public and the general population.
Right.
And the internet can do what the internet does sometimes, so you have to be careful of that. Zoom is a paying option, but it's very affordable. So, for as little as $14, you can do a Zoom webinar, which allows you to do a one-way communication to as many attendees as you can fathom. And then the price goes up depending on how many attendees you have.
Okay.
And it's really easy to use. It's super affordable. It can allow for chat, Q&A, polling. You can promote attendees to be presenters and then demote them back after they've asked their question or made their comment.
So you have a lot
So
of
it's
control.
exactly a lot of control. You can limit the number. You can say only these certain people are allowed to come in. These are not allowed to come in. So it gives you a lot more control. But I would say the drawback from Zoom is that in order to enter, attendees have to register, and then it shoots them an email. Once they get the email, there's a new link in that email that then allows them to enter your webcast. So it
Okay.
just adds a little layer of intricacy, and they require a plugin as well, which the other two don't. So those are the really inexpensive. And then from there, you can get into the more high-end webcast providers. So IBM, which starts at $99 a month, and then the sky's the limit. But that gives you a really refined, high-end video webcast event, all the way to, you know, the Kalturas and the Brightcoves of the world, which you might not know, you've never heard of, but you're probably
Right.
using them at work previously and had no clue.
Wow.
And they give you a super refined, high-end, branded, very interactive. You can do polling, you can download assets, you can give action, you could charge for entry with those as well. So, you know, like, hey, we're going to give 3 hours worth of kids programming. It's $10 to enter, something minimal. I bet you I would pay $100 right now to not have my kids on me for 3 hours.
Right.
So, you know, those give you the ability to collect monies at entry, all those things. And I do believe that's what Zoom webinar actually gives you that. So there are many places where you can help people and motivate people and engage people depending on which platform you choose and what your end goal is. Is it just to raise money? Is it to educate? Is it to entertain?
Hmm.
Like, what are you looking to do? And what your budget is? Because
Right.
from there, you know, um, and then once we're out of all of this, you can also get video crews and high-end production brought to any of these platforms very, very easily.
Right.
Right now, you know, most video crews are staying very local,
Yes.
and it's hard to do a video production with a 6 feet separator. But
Yes,
yeah,
totally. Okay, again, I have so many questions. I guess I want to just talk a little bit more logistics in terms of like quality. So you mentioned having an HD camera hooked up if possible and a hardline connection to the internet. What about lighting?
yeah. So lighting's huge. We've all joined that video conference call where there's somebody and they looks like, for lack of a better word, they look like a saint or something.
Yeah.
Lighting should always be in front of you, never behind you.
Okay.
You know, always, I have a little lamp in front of my desk. It's lit right now. It's just going to highlight your face a lot better.
Love-
On Zoom, you also have the possibility on there. They call it the Prettify feature, where it sort of gives you a light filter and makes
Oh,
it look really nice.
we're on.
Uh,
I'm going to put that on.
oh, yeah. You click on your video and then video settings, you'll see what do they call exactly? Touch up my appearance. So I'm going to do it right now.
Oh
And
my
it just
God.
gives a really light filter
Wait,
where,
where do I do it? Sorry, she's teaching
yeah.
me.
So if you go to see where your video is in the bottom left corner, click on the up arrow, video settings, and then in my videos, touch up my appearance.
Oh my gosh. Amazing. Okay, so
Yeah,
video settings, and then where do I go?
video settings.
Yes.
And then you're going to see in my video, enable HD, enable mirror effect, and touch
Oh
up my.
yeah, touch up my video. Oh my God, look at those.
It's just a little like
That's a little
filter.
filter. Let's do it.
Yeah,
Who knew? Okay,
Kardashian
amazing.
approved.
Good.
Uh,
Look at that right there coming for you guys. Okay, so lighting. What about sound?
Sound, if you can. So neither of us are using it right now, but if you can, getting just a little bit like a mic is really great. There's so many of them out there,
Yeah.
especially if you're doing my local yoga studio. We recently helped them get on a Zoom. They do Zoom meetings to do interactive yoga classes. And the teacher has like sort of a Britney Spears type of mic, and it's great. It plugs right into the computer that is hosting the Zoom meeting. It's wireless and it allows the yoga teacher to move around more naturally
Yeah.
without having to worry about a clip-on mic or anything like that.
Right.
If you're presenting from your desk, they have little goosenecks mics that go right up so you talk into, and you could also get clip-on mics. And all of these can be bought for, you know, $100.
So
You don't have to
easy.
go crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So before, I loved your Willie Nelson example, and you said that was like several hours of entertainment, which is so
Oh
great.
yeah. I think
Um,
they streamed like 4 hours or
that's
something. And
amazing. That is so
yeah.
great. I guess I'm wondering, just like going back to the days before all of this crazy, is there, like, I'm thinking for a fundraising event, is there a preferred length of time? Do you see things kind of work better where it's held over maybe a 24-hour period and people are able to pop in and out? Or is it more like, here's the start time, we're going to deliver programming to you, um, but it's not like a free for all kind of thing? I guess what
Yeah.
I'm thinking about is organizations that traditionally do some sort of live ask kind of fund the need type of thing. And
Yeah.
there's a thermometer and this whole thing, right? And
The
peer,
whole shebang. Yes.
yes.
100%.
And peer pressure plays a very important role in that equation when you're at an in-person event that is difficult to mimic when you're online. So I guess
Yeah.
I'm just curious, as far as things you've seen work really well, best practices in that kind of arena. I have a feeling lots of people want information on that.
Totally. And it's sort of a hard question to answer, because it depends on the content, really. So if you're giving an informational thing, so it's a speech, it's a talk, it's, whatever you want to say, do, where people are really taking in information, most people's attention span for those types of things on a webcast format is about 45 minutes to 60
Okay.
at most.
Okay.
That's when people start tuning out, they start multitasking, they stop paying attention.
Okay.
If you are going to give more snippets of moments, so the Willie Nelson concert last night, each musician probably performed for 15 to 20 minutes at most.
Okay.
So you sort of have a change. So at that point, you're giving people a break, you're giving people a change of mood, a change of scenery. Um, and that is, that's giving people a break. If you're going to do longer than an hour of, especially of heavy content, built in actual breaks, the same way that if it's an in-person conference, you would give people 5-10 minutes to go use the restroom. Do the same in a webcast format. People need a break, people need a reset. And maybe during that time, you play some music, you do something different for them to look at and experience.
Okay.
So yeah,
That's really
the
helpful.
yeah, the same rules for live events happen online, except people have even shorter attention spans.
Okay. Got it. Okay, that's great. So I guess then I would love to go back to maybe any real life examples you might have seen, in the fundraising space, like
Mhm.
any organizations that just really knocked it out of the park, where like their content was engaging, or they raised a lot of money, or just anything that worked really well. I guess contrast with that, if you have any examples of where things just flopped big time, those examples are always super helpful too, because
Yeah.
I feel like I feel like in the for-profit world, there's lots of visual examples that people can grasp to, and that just for whatever reason isn't the same in the nonprofit space. And I find that because of that, there's a lot of scarcity when it comes to like creativity and innovation. And so sometimes I just
Yeah.
try to really paint some pictures for people so that they can then take it and mold it and adapt it to themselves. But you have to know like the good and the bad. So anything you have would be helpful.
Yeah. I will be fully honest, I haven't done a lot of fundraising events online because I think fundraising has always been so much better when you're in person. That's always been I'm a traditional event planner for Rick and Mortar, and I also do online events. And we always tell people, if you're going to do fundraising, do it in person, because
Mm,
that's where that's really going to have the most impact. The world has changed dramatically in the last few weeks.
yes.
Uh, and so what I've seen in the short time is really using people's desire to still interact,
Mm,
using people's motivation for entertainment, need for positivity, need for comfort,
mm,
and translating that into, we will help you get through this as a community, we will be together through this,
mhm,
and then giving people an outlet to say thank you.
mm. Got it. Okay, great. And so I guess just like I'm trying to think of a nonprofit that could do this, or like something creative just to give people an example. Like, I don't know, maybe you're a literacy organization and you host a story time for
Oh, that would be great.
something like that, like you said. Or
Yeah.
um maybe you are a writing organization and you have either writers come in and do like a master class or deliver journal prompts or something like that. I'm just wondering, I'm just trying to think of something that maybe an organization that, you know, has some sort of, like, for example, there's a lot of organizations right now providing food for
Yeah.
underserved communities. And I'm trying to think of something that might translate really well for them, or if it's
Don't
kind
forget, online doesn't have to be live.
of,
So that is,
that's a really important point.
yeah, it doesn't have to be live. People that are taking time to give food, to put themselves in harm's way in order to help an underprivileged community or help somebody that doesn't have food security right now, you can easily, I mean, an iPhone 11, and it has just as good of a camera lens as most cameras out there that are used in the professional world. Tape everything.
Mm,
Tape everything you're doing, and then that can be curated to create a pre-recorded bit, and it can be part of your live event, the pre-recorded bit,
mm,
to help motivate people to help financially,
mm.
to be like, hey, this is what we're doing, we need help, not just time, but we need help to be able to pay for this food and deliver it and all those things.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of messaging for, it's just interesting what I've been seeing out there. There's a lot of people asking, but some people are like super specific. We need 17 bags of rice, we need 14 hands of sanitation, and then other people are just like donate. And I'm like, the ones that are going to get what their needs met are the ones that are specific, and the ones
Exactly.
that don't are the ones that are being super general. So I think if you can visually storytell, like you're saying, in some pre-recorded content, with
Mhm.
then maybe someone either live asking or someone, there's like some written text on what money specifically goes to. I think that that's
Exactly. And to visualize it, like, we need 15 bags of rice. This is why we have 2 bags of rice left. We're trying to make it.
really.
There's also a trick in the industry that is heavily used. Most people, when you're watching live news, it's not live. Uh, Pre-record it, tailor it, and make it a sim live. So you push it out as a video clip like it's a live event. It's not live. It's all been pre-recorded and tailored, but it gives the audience the impression that they're in a live state, and then they can interact with you. And then you just have somebody from the team logged into the event in the back end, looking at the chat, looking at the Q&A, looking at the tweets and all that stuff, and reacting live with those people. So, that's also another tool that's available to be able to craft your message to be more impactful.
Interesting. You saying that right there also makes me have some questions about like this chat, like engagement part of
Yeah,
streaming an event. Like, how important is that? Like,
it's as important as you want it to be. So these
okay,
are all features that can be totally turned off, and it could just be one-way messaging. Like,
okay.
hey, this is us, this is what we're doing, this is our website, done. You can use a lot of the engagement tools to help your audience be more engaged. So from a chat where attendees can chat back and forth with each other, sort of like when you're on a Twitch event, you'll see that. Live YouTube also, you can have that, where people can comment back and forth in real time. There's Q&A, which allows attendees to ask a question. In a lot of cases, the question doesn't have to be published, it's anonymous, and then you can then address it as you wish.
Mm,
A lot of platforms allow you to share on Twitter and Facebook and live tweet and follow a hashtag, for example.
yep.
So hashtag give today is linked to your event.
Mhm.
And then on your event page, while they're watching your event, they can see what's happening on that hashtag if they log into Twitter. So there's so many tools. You can use live polling, you can do live surveys, you can do, um, you know, prizes where
Yeah, tell us
depending on,
about that.
Yeah, some platforms, not all platforms, but some platforms have the ability to randomly pick an attendee, and that attendee wins XYZ, and that's built it into the platform. But if you don't have a platform that does that, you can also fake it,
Mm,
where you look at a number of attendees, you're like, whoever logged in number 27 that day wins a $25 gift card or whatever, and you announce it. And
yeah.
if you're using a platform where you can promote the attendee to a speaker, you can promote them and tell them, like, you're the lucky winner, and get a live reaction and get that interaction.
Yeah. I guess one of my kind of final questions is so we've talked a little bit about like streaming doesn't necessarily mean live.
Yeah.
How important would you say is it to record whatever you do and then kind of re-push that out for people who cannot make the live event?
I would say always record. You
Yeah.
never know. You can, in 10 years, you could be like, hey, we need that clip from the time of the coronavirus to use for XYZ.
Yeah.
Always record.
Okay.
Having it on demand, which is, where people can go back and watch a recording of a live event later, never hurts. It depends again on your audience. Most people tend to prefer a live state, but on demand is a really great tool where you can continue your message. Most platforms, they're available for at least a year, if not indefinitely.
Okay.
Some platforms such as IBM and Kaltura allow you to auto transcript any recording that's put on their player, and then that becomes a searchable file.
Mm.
So on that player, you can be like, hey, I want to hear everything about cars. Type in cars, and I'll show you every webcast that had cars in the title, as where the word car was uttered during the event.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's very cool and it allows for archival and continuing education. You don't have to stop your event because it stopped being live. You can continue the messaging online. So always record. If you can, set it on demand and let people know about it.
Yeah.
It never hurts, and it's very often included. It's very rare you have to pay for it.
Another question just popped into my head as I'm thinking about this, and we're obviously speaking that is being recorded that will then be shared out, right? And I
Yeah.
guess one of the things I'm wondering is how important are subtitles? Do you have any resources for how to get subtitles
Yeah.
into a video that isn't totally cumbersome?
That isn't totally terrible.
Yeah,
Uh,
transcribed situation.
Transcribe. Yeah, I mean, if you have an audience that you know where ADA compliance is very important, a lot of the higher end streaming platforms offer that built in. So IBM, as I just mentioned, they have a bot. They have a bot called Watson, who's wonderful, and he auto transcribes and does live closed captioning. It's a robot, so he gets it right almost all the time. Sometimes it's a little off, but
Yeah.
he gets it right. Most players, you can get third-party live captioning companies where they actually have a human being doing it. That is not
What a
built into
job.
the player. It's so right. What do you do all day? I listen to people talk and I type. It's not built into the player. It's a separate window, but people can have that separate window open and read a real life closed captioning done by a human being.
Okay.
That tends to be more expensive, but
Okay.
it'll be a lot more accurate.
Okay.
And from there, most recordings we can add it on easily. You can do multiple language tracks as well,
Yeah, that's
um,
probably
which
important.
which is very important when you have a community that might not speak English.
Yeah.
To be able to do closed captioning in a separate language is very, very important.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely something that's offered.
Okay.
The more on the higher end expensive platforms
Okay.
than on the cheaper end.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I guess for sure my final question, which I keep saying, I've said that like 3 times now. I guess there's just like my kind of wrap up question would be like for anyone that is there anything like you would advise or anything, you know, if you knew then what you know now kind of situation for someone that's really just getting started? I mean, I feel like most of the people in my audience are doing this out of a necessity, not necessarily out of a desire. And so they're just kind
Yeah.
of winging it. And I guess, is there just any last things that we haven't spoken about you think might be helpful, or you would advise them to get more education on, or anything before they have at this?
Launch themselves. Yeah, I mean, there's so many. Educate yourself. Go on YouTube. There's so many videos of how to do a Zoom webinar or
Hmm.
how to do a WebEx, a high-end WebEx. There's so much education out there. And then take a breath. Nobody's expecting anybody to get it perfect
Right.
right now.
Yeah.
You know, it's okay to flub a little bit, and anything could be fixed post-event. Editing is a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
um, and ask for help. You know, call companies like mine. I'm not the only one out there.
Yeah.
And ask for help. People are willing to help. There's a lot of experts in that space who are willing to donate their time to help you.
Yeah.
So there's so many resources. They're there. And at the end of the day, it's not super complicated. You'll do it the first time, it feels like so much, and then you do it 100 times, it feels like nothing. Think about being a wedding planner. That first wedding you plan feels overwhelming. By the time you've done your 100th, it's autopilot, not a big deal.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
look at it that way. You know, your first fundraiser, whoo, so scary.
Totally. Yes. Yes.
So
Okay. You have been such a gem. You know so much information. Relevant Consulting,
Revent Consulting.
Revent Consulting, .com.
No, Revent.consulting.
Oh,
So
consulting. Easy peasy.
it's
And
totally okay. It's a little strange.
we'll link it below. And thank you, Julie, for all of your insight and knowledge. I really
No, thank
appreciate
you so much for having me. And yeah, if anybody needs help, we're here.
it. Okay, amazing.